Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the 2023 Tourism Outlook Forum. I'm Debbie Braun, president of the Aspen Chamber, and I just want to thank Grassroots Television for filming today. I think it's really important that we get the word out of what we're doing with destination management to our community. And Grassroots is a great vehicle to do that. Thank you, Marketing Advisory Committee. You guys work so hard, always keeping a close eye on the programming and the budget, and we are forever grateful. Thank you to the Chamber Board. We're nothing without you. We don't even exist without a board of directors, so thank you very much. To kick off the Tourism Outlook Forum, Eliza just asked me to maybe just give a little bit of a blurb on the history of destination marketing. But I said we didn't have 2 hours, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. In 2001, the lodging community came to ACRA, and then we went to the city of Aspen and asked to have a lodging tax put on the ballot. At that time, we had about $500,000 in funds through an American Express program that was no longer going to be producing any money for us. So we needed to find a way to generate funds for the community. So the lodging community and ACRA worked together along with the city of Aspen, and we put a lodging tax on the ballot, which passed. That was a 1% tax. 50% of that tax goes to transportation, and 50% of the tax went to marketing, which is really important because prior to that, the tax was turned down 2 to 3 times. And what we realized is by adding transportation and lodging, we were people moving. And we were actually the people we were inviting into our community, we were then moving around in a seamless manner. So that seemed to make a lot of sense. In 2010, we went back to the voters and said we would like some additional funds for marketing. So we put on the ballot again, the city of Aspen, along with the chamber and the lodging, another 1% tax. But this time we asked for the 1% to go all to marketing. So currently we receive 1.5% of the lodging fund, which is 2%. So we receive 75% of it, and transportation receives 25%. And with that, we began to market the heck out of Aspen. Well, times are changing, and that ugly word of over-tourism began to creep in a few years ago. So we really took it upon ourselves to look inside of our community and ask, what do our residents want? What do our businesses want? And how can we be the best vehicle for producing a high-level marketing plan? And what we decided on was to move towards a management plan, to work more with our stakeholders in our community, to work closer with our residents so that we could put forth a plan that really manages all the wonderful assets of our community. So today, Eliza and her team are going to talk about the work that we're doing on our destination management plan. We're year 2 into the plan, and I think we've made some great strides. So I'm going to turn it over to Eliza, but I have one last housekeeping item. It's the holidays. And if ACRA's known for anything, it's known for giving out a nice gift. Right, Steve Skadron? The best. So John is playing Little Santa's Helper today. So for the board members, if you would please check in with John, we do have a gift for you before you leave today. So with that, Eliza Voss, come on up. And I would just want to say thank you to you and your team. You guys do a fabulous job. You listen to the community, you listen to the stakeholders, and I think you do your very best to make sure that we're creating this environment for Aspen to thrive. So Eliza, take it from here.
I love bribing you guys to stay to get a present at the end. I'm actually going to turn it over to Miha Gallagher from Future Partners. Future Partners is a destination organization research specialist firm that has helped us throughout the entirety of the past 12 months collecting waves of data, which I think you guys have heard me talk about several times in our meetings and probably have glazed over a little bit. So Miha is going to do the big presentation of the data. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Eliza. And just want to make sure this is on. Great, wonderful. All right, hello, Aspen community. I'm so honored to be here to share the key insights from the comprehensive research program that we've conducted on behalf of the Aspen Chamber. And I've lived in Colorado now for 3 years, and this is only my second time that I've had the great privilege to be here in Aspen, and so excited to be here with you all. Funny enough, I was actually born in Colorado. I was born in Aurora, but my family who immigrated from Vietnam, they spent one winter in Colorado and they said, this isn't for us. So they moved to Southern California. And the reason why I came back to Colorado is I met my husband who grew up in a Denver suburb, but he technically was born in Chicago, so I'd like to tease him that I'm a real Colorado native and he is not. And with your permission, after the meeting today, I'd like to go home and tell him that the Aspen community agrees with me. All right, so I wanted to take a few moments to first introduce you to our company. So for 20 years, we were destination analysts, and in August of this year, we rebranded to Future Partners, and we are a creative insights agency shaping winning strategies for travel, tourism, and hospitality leaders that captures hearts, minds, and market share. And we've had the great privilege of working with hundreds of travel and tourism clients across the country and the globe. But I wanted to personally thank you all for choosing us to be one of your research partners. And for today's presentation, I wanted to share the key highlights for 3 different studies that we conducted in partnership with ACRA. That is your 22-23 visitor profile, stakeholder study, and resident sentiment study, which of course really summarizes the 3 really key, most important audiences that you all serve. So starting with your recent visitors, we'll review the impact of the visitor economy, dig into the profile of their trips, and see how satisfied they were with the overall experience in Aspen. And to do this, we fielded a panel survey in 2 waves, once to collect summer season or warm season visitation, and the other to profile your shoulder season and winter visitors. Now, the methodology we deployed was an online panel survey. So we partnered with a panel provider. We fielded a survey amongst a nationally representative sample of adult travelers. And we supplemented this panel collection with a survey of Aspen's owned and social audiences. And for the summer wave collection, we collected a total of 946 surveys. And for the winter wave, we collected 614 surveys of visitors to the area. And with such a popular destination like Aspen, it's no question that you all are attracting visitors to the area, but really understanding the overall economic impact these visitors impart is important to know and to communicate, because we all know in the room that there's so many benefits that come with the outside injection of money into the local economy. And this is just summarizing how we did the economic impact modeling from this research. So Future Partners combined all of the first-party visitor data collected along with secondary data sources like lodging occupancy rates to really determine the total visitor volume to Aspen during our period of study. And this includes an estimate of total visitor days spent in Aspen and total direct visitor spend. This includes an estimate as an industry standard, we also run these numbers through an in-plan model to estimate indirect and induced spending generated by visitors as well. And an example of indirect or induced spending could be, say, a linen vendor who's located outside of Aspen, who works with some of your local properties to supply materials to the hotels. So let's now take a look at Aspen's visitor industry performance for May of 22 through May of 23. So during the period of study, we estimate that visitors to Aspen generated $1.6 billion in direct spending in market. And when run through the in-plan model, the total economic impact increases to $1.97 billion. In addition, it's estimated that just over $103 million were generated in county and local taxes, and this visitor spending supported an estimated 13,000 jobs. Now, the caveat being that not all of these jobs that are being supported are within the Aspen area, just like in my linen company example. And breaking this down further, among the estimated 1.3 million visitors that Aspen hosted, the largest overnight segment of visitation was among hotel guests, accounting for approximately 306,818 visitors, or 24% of the total. In contrast, day trip visitors accounted for just under 800,000 visitors, or 61% of all visitors to Aspen during our period of study. And the largest share of spend among Aspen visitors came from hotel guests, at over $841 million spent, or 52% of total spending generated by visitors in the area. And this was followed by condominium or townhome visitors, that is, those who rent condos or townhomes. They spent an estimated $474 million in market, or 29% of the total. And by spending category, the largest share of wallet was spent on Aspen lodging accommodations at $648 million, or 40% of the total spend, followed by restaurants and dining out at $217 million spent, or 13% of the total spend. All right, let's now see where these visitors are coming from. So by state, a quarter are from within Colorado, and the remaining 3/4 are out-of-state visitors, with the greatest representation from Texas, Florida, and California. Day trip visitors, we found, were much more likely to be in-state visitors, so 63% of your day trippers were Colorado residents. When we drill down to the market level, the top origin markets for Aspen visitors include Denver, Boulder, no surprise there, followed by Los Angeles, New York City, and Chicago. And the VFR segment, we found about 25% of VFRs, or those here visiting friends and relatives, they were most likely to come from the Denver, Boulder market. Now, before we jump into these visitors' trip details, let's take a look at their perceptions of the Aspen brand. So to inform this, we first asked respondents to rate how important each of these destination attributes are when it comes to selecting a vacation destination. And this chart shows you the top 2 box score, or the percent who rated each of these as important or very important to their destination selection process. And topping the list here is good value for money, outdoor activities and recreation, an inclusive, welcoming atmosphere, and local cuisine. Later on in the survey, we asked these surveys to now rate Aspen on these same attributes, and this chart shows you the percent who rated Aspen as good or very good at delivering each. Unsurprisingly, Aspen scores highest for winter sports, followed closely by outdoor activities and recreation. In addition, over 3/4 of Aspen visitors also agree that Aspen delivers on fine dining and Instagram-worthy experiences. And on the whole, perceptions of Aspen are positive, but like all other destination brands, there are gaps in consumer perceptions, which really help us understand what aspects of the Aspen experience need elevating in your messaging to make it that much more impactful in increasing consideration for Aspen for future trips and thus growing your market share. So we mapped those last 2 data points together to do a need gap analysis. And when measuring Aspen's destination attribute perceptions against importance rating using this quadrant analysis, we find that 7 key attributes fell into the reinforced category for Aspen visitors, meaning these are highly important to the destination selection process, but also Aspen received high marks, which include outdoor activities and recreation, unique local cuisine, winter sports, fine dining, a variety of special events and festivals, having family-friendly activities and live music. And as a previous visitor myself, I do feel like those are the strongest pillars of the destination brand here. That said, 5 attributes are considered opportunities, meaning their importance rating exceeds the proportion of travelers who feel that Aspen delivers on these attributes. And it's our recommendation that you strengthen perceptions of these attributes through your messaging. And these include inclusive, welcoming atmosphere, good value for money, especially in a time of economic instability, as we are in right now. Being easily accessible, eco-adventures, and then there's also a desire to explore historical sites. And in the survey, we also explored these travelers' perceptions of Aspen and your competitive landscape. And to do this, we asked respondents to select which destinations they most associate with each of these attributes. And I'm just going to zero in on a couple things. So among Aspen visitors, as we just reviewed a few moments ago, we found good value for money, outdoor activities and recreation, and an inclusive, welcoming atmosphere ranked among the top attributes that travelers look for when they are assessing different leisure destinations. And we found that Aspen placed first for outdoor activities and recreation compared to your competitive set, as well as having an inclusive and welcoming atmosphere relative to the other competitors that we tested. However, Aspen ranked third for good value for money, trailing behind Park City and Lake Tahoe. And if you were curious about what comes to mind for travelers when they think about Aspen as a leisure destination, wonder no more, because we did probe about this topic in the survey as well. So the top associations include skiing, snowboarding, unsurprising, followed by enthusiasm for related attributes such as the snow, mountains, ski resorts, and the scenic beauty here. The only negative leaning descriptor cited was a perception, of course, that Aspen is expensive. Now let's see what these visitors' trip details look like. So 2/3 of Aspen visitors said that the primary purpose of their most recent trip to Aspen was for a vacation or for general leisure, while 12% were visiting friends and relatives. Additionally, 7% were visiting primarily to attend a special event, and 6% were in Aspen on business. And of those who stayed overnight in Aspen during the period of study, the most common lodging type was hotel, inn, resort, or lodge at 60%, followed by condo or townhome rentals at 32%. In addition, 19% of our sample camped while they were visiting Aspen. On average, Aspen visitors stayed 3.5 days and 2.7 nights in market on their last trip, and the average length of stay was longest among the VFR segments, so those visiting friends and relatives in town. Their average length of stay was 7.2 days, followed by townhome condo rental guests at an average of 6 days in market. And Aspen visitors had an average travel party size of 3.3 people. And in terms of their travel party composition, 3/4 traveled here with their spouse or partner, 33% had children under the age of 18 in their travel parties, and about 26% said they traveled here solo. And then the typical visitor to Aspen represented an estimated $346 in daily in-market spending, and this was highest among hotel guests, condo townhome guests, and lowest among day trip visitors. And I do want to note that the overall total spend here, this is inclusive of day trip visitors, campers, which are dragging down the total spend in market a bit. When we isolate some of your overnight stay visitors, you can see the lift in total spend by those segments. When accounting for average length of stay, Aspen visitors spent an average of just over $1,200 per trip in destination. Condo townhome guests, who have the longest length of stay at 5.4 nights, had the average trip spend of just over $2,800. All right, now let's get on to the visitor activities. So 4 in 10 Aspen visitors, when they were in market, they said they went shopping, followed by 35% who went hiking. 1/4 also went downhill skiing or snowboarding, and then about 1/4 also participated in your bars and nightlife. We then followed up with these visitors and we asked them which activities served as their primary motivation for coming to Aspen. And there's a little shuffling in the top here. So we saw hiking emerge as the top motivator, followed by skiing and then shopping. And it's always important to see what barriers may be keeping your visitors from returning so you can potentially message against these deterrents. And so for Aspen visitors who said they are not considering visiting Aspen again in the next 12-month period, the top travel barriers include that they've been recently and wish to try a new destination at 39%. So there's a little bit of a been there, done that attitude amongst that group, followed by the perception that these visitors could get a better value at another destination. Now let's see how satisfied these visitors are with the experience provided in Aspen. But first, when asked about their favorite memory from their recent Aspen trip, the dominant response here was their experience skiing, spending quality time with their family and loved ones, hiking, and enjoying the beautiful scenery here in Aspen. A few also wrote in that their favorite memory was their lodging accommodations here in Aspen, which, being a travel and tourism researcher for over 10 years now, I can honestly say I've never seen that in a visitor profile that we've conducted. And so I just want to say kudos to the lodging community for fostering a really memorable and desirable experience for your guests. And Aspen clearly leaves visitors very satisfied. In fact, more than 8 in 10 said they were either satisfied or extremely satisfied with their most recent trip to the destination. And when we look at the top box score, that's a majority there. 56% say they were extremely satisfied. The VFR segment, vacation rental guests and hotel guests had the highest overall satisfaction scores, topping 90%. In contrast, day trip visitors had the lowest share of those who were satisfied at 77%. But this is very typical of what we see in other destination visitor profiles. Your day trip visitors, they usually live closer to market, they have more touches with the destination, and often that turns into, because we're all humans, complaints, and so I wouldn't take that as a negative per se. Now, drilling down to how satisfied they were with several trip aspects, we found that nearly all Aspen visitors were satisfied with hospitality and the service that they received in Aspen. And I was just telling Eliza earlier this morning, I stayed at Aspen Meadows, arrived a little late last night, and the staff there was so warm and welcoming to me. It was just so lovely. They went above and beyond, and so just thank you to your community again for being such warm hosts. And then let's see here, when we look at this satisfaction by segment, of course, hotel guests, they report the highest satisfaction levels at 88%, followed by VFRs at 85%. Again, coming in lowest here are day trip visitors. Over 7 in 10 Aspen visitors were satisfied with their interaction with Aspen locals at 71%. Satisfaction levels were highest among hotel guests, condo townhome guests, and then again lowest amongst day trip visitors. And then the majority of Aspen visitors were very satisfied with their lodging quality, with 85% giving a top 2 box score. And by segment, vacation rental guests reported the highest satisfaction levels at 93%. But still high marks across all. And in line with the high levels of visitor satisfaction, a majority of your visitors say they are very likely to return to the destination, with 87% citing any likelihood, and 2/3, 68%, saying they are extremely likely to do so. And this was highest amongst your vacation rental guests, with 91% saying they are likely or very likely to return. Also important, your visitors are very likely to recommend Aspen as a place to visit to others, with 81% saying they are likely or extremely likely to tell others about how great it is here. Hotel guests, 91%, VFR segment at 89%. They're the highest likelihood to recommend scores. In contrast, day trip visitors, the lowest. All right, so let's now dig into the findings from the stakeholder research that we conducted. And just as an overview of this research piece, the overarching goals and objectives of this project were to really assess the current sentiment of stakeholders towards tourism in their community, identify pain points as well as strengths and opportunities, examine common destination management issues and inventory, and gather feedback from this audience on potential recommendations for future tourism marketing, destination development, and community involvement. So to do this, we conducted an online survey of members of Aspen's business community distributed by ACRA via email invitation, and responses were collected during the first 2 weeks of the month from October 22 through March of 23, and a total of 515 completed surveys were collected across this 6-month period. So first, let's quickly take a look at the profile of the business community who responded to this study. As far as business type, the largest representation in the sample comes from retail and shopping businesses, followed by business services, food and beverage, and then real estate and relocation companies. Looking at the business types grouped by tourism-centric versus tourism-adjacent categories, we found about 71% of responding businesses are directly impacted by tourism. We also asked respondents to share their title or position within the business that they represent, and 1/3 are owners or co-owners of the business, followed by 1 in 5 who are senior management. And the share of C-suite respondents versus staff respondents is fairly split. We found about half of our sample here are C-suite, while the remaining 49.3% identify as senior management or lower level staff. As for organization size, the majority of responding organizations have under 50 employees in total. In fact, 1/3 have 5 or fewer employees or contractors, while only 11.4% of responding organizations have 100 or more employees. And the majority of respondents reported that their business is located in Aspen's downtown core at 57.7%, followed by 1 in 5 who reported their location being in the city of Aspen, but outside of the core. And the largest share of responding businesses reported that the majority of their clientele is comprised of visitors at 41.7%. Roughly 1/3 said they see an even split between their clientele who are visitors versus residents, and just under 1 in 5 said their clientele are a majority residents. And in this next section, we asked this community to share their assessments of how Aspen is performing on the business front. And through each wave of this survey, we posed this question to respondents. In the last month, did your business reach capacity at any point? And looking at the time series for this metric, focusing in on the green line on this chart, which shows the percent that said yes to this question, we found that the percent of respondents who said their business reached capacity jumped from 13.3% in November to 36.7% of businesses in December saying they reached capacity at that point. This held relatively steady throughout the winter months, the remaining winter months, before increasing to nearly half of respondents in March of 2023. That is, half of the businesses that responded to the survey in March said they had reached capacity during that time. Looking at the aggregate for all 6 months, overall 28.2% of total respondents over the 6 survey waves said their business did reach capacity at some point during the period of study. Of those businesses that reported reaching capacity, we followed up and we asked them, during which weeks of the month did your business reach capacity? Looking at the data across the time series here, the first peak occurred in the first few weeks of November, followed by a drop-off the week of Thanksgiving. This was then followed by an uptick during the 3rd week of December, after which there was minimal fluctuation before a 2-week increase in the first half of March, followed by a 2-week decline in the second half of that same month. And looking at all 6 months of data aggregated here, the most common reported week of capacity being reached was the 3rd week of the month. We then asked this audience to think about their volume of business in the month prior to taking the survey and to share what their average volume of business was, using a scale where 0% represents no business, 100% represents maximum capacity. We found that reported business volume was estimated to be at about 50% in October and November, so in those shoulder season months, before increasing to 70.6% of capacity in December of 22, which holds firm throughout the remainder of the winter season. And when we look at the average reported business volume across all respondents, the mean was 62.2% of maximum capacity. We then explored desired business volume by posing this question to the audience. Considering seasonality and including staff and operating hours, please think about your desired volume of business last month. Would you say the level of business last month was at capacity, too crowded, just enough, not enough, or did you have no business at all? Viewed here as a time series, the data reveals that October of 2022 had the largest share of respondents who desired their business to be at capacity or even too crowded, meaning there's a notable desire to increase volume for this month. being October. However, in November of 2022, through the remaining months of the winter season, you can see that the yellow line dropped down considerably, and far more of the business community wants their volume of customers to be just enough from November through March. And to emphasize this point, when we aggregate the results for this question across the 6 months of study, the largest share reported that they would like to have just enough business at 46.6%. Only 14.8% of the business community said they would like it to be at maximum capacity at some point, which I would venture is likely a function of a lack of staff to support higher volumes of customers. We then asked respondents to think about the last month and share how visitation to their business changed compared to the month prior. And looking at this metric in the time series, the largest share of respondents reported an increase compared to the prior month when they were surveyed in December of 22. Following that spike, roughly 4 in 10 respondents reported that the business stayed the same for the remainder of the winter season. Far fewer said patronage to their businesses decreased during the peak winter season months. In aggregate, about 1/3 of respondents said it stayed the same overall. Another 31% said business visitation had decreased compared to previous months at 31.1%. And unsurprisingly, month-over-month business revenue change closely mirrors the trends seen in business visitation change. So December of 2022 saw the largest share of businesses who reported an increase in revenue compared to the past month. Overall, 1/3 of respondents, though, when we look at the aggregate, said that their revenue stayed the same, and a similar share reported a decrease. And we also probed the business community about their primary business concerns over the next 6 months. And the most common near-term concerns include housing costs for employees, which of course is a challenge that the hospitality industry is grappling with across the country now. In addition, half said they are concerned about hiring and or retaining staff. And these top 3 business concerns didn't vary significantly month over month. And how is the local business community feeling about tourism? Well, to dig into tourism perceptions, we presented several statements to this audience, and we asked them to select how much they agree with each. And there was the greatest level of agreement with the statement, tourism is very important to Aspen's economy at 85%. That's followed by 79% who agreed that tourism is an important part of Aspen's future. 70% also agreed that tourists are an important part of the success of their organization, and just over half agreed that tourism growth is very important to the success of their business. That said, about 4 in 10 feel that Aspen's economy is too dependent on tourism, and respondents were least likely to see the immediate economic benefits of tourism on the amount of taxes their organization has to pay, and or that tourism decreases the cost of living for residents. And the next section here is just showing the time series for each individual statement that we tested to see if there was any major fluctuations in time period. And you can see agreement with tourism being very important to Aspen's economy. That stays strong throughout each period of study, or each wave of the survey, that is. Tourism being an important part of Aspen's future. Again, not a lot of change month over month. Tourists are an important part of my organization's success. Again, a majority agreed with this throughout all 6 waves, but we do see a slight uptick in January in terms of level of agreement with this statement. Notably, agreement that Aspen's economy is too dependent on tourism, that actually dropped 15 percentage points between December of 22 to January of 23. However, agreement levels rose again in February, but not to the same level measured during the fall season. An agreement that tourism reduces the amount of taxes their organization has to pay fluctuated somewhat between 1 in 5 and 1 in 4 respondents over the 6 waves, and not a lot of change here for agreement that tourism decreases the cost of living for residents. And last but not least, when asked to provide any additional feedback about the current environment in Aspen's business community, the most common written-in responses centered around employee housing issues, followed by requests for more support for local businesses. And just a few quotes here that I wanted to share to really emphasize this. In terms of employee housing issues, quote, tourism is important, but affordable housing for local employees is essential for keeping the infrastructure of our community. And a quote, for more support being needed for business and tourism, quote, rent is outrageous and we have too many empty sitting buildings or too much pop-up or short-lived stores. This does not support many local businesses who may be smaller or just starting out. I do want to note that 1 in 10 respondents also expressed that Aspen needs to advocate for tourism at 11.1%. So without further ado, here are the key highlights from our resident sentiment study. So this research piece was designed to really understand the current sentiment of your local residents, to measure quality of life, employment opportunities, understand their perspectives around housing and their perceptions of local amenities. And we also probed them about their understanding of tourism, of the tourism industry and its impact to the local community. Now, to address these learning objectives, we deployed an online survey of adult residents of the Aspen area. And to qualify for the survey, respondents must either live, work, or own a second home within the Aspen area. And we used several channels to reach a wide variety of residents, including using resident email lists that we purchased, social media posts, and also ACRA's owned audiences. In total, 2,750 completed surveys were collected across the 2 waves of this survey, which was fielded in December of 22 and June of 2023. And first, let's take a quick look at the profile of this audience. Now, the majority of respondents to this survey were full-time residents of the Aspen area. Only 4 in 10 of these residents said they were born in the Aspen area. And then 1/3 of respondents moved to the Aspen area less than 15 years ago, with just 4% saying they moved to the area within the past 2 years, so a lot of long-time residents in our sample. Nearly 1/4 have always lived in the Aspen area, while 25% said they moved here over 30 years ago. And among residents that responded to this survey who moved to the Aspen area, the top reasons for choosing to live here were winter recreational activities, followed by summer recreational activities, a job or career opportunity, and or because of the landscape and natural features here. When asked why they choose to continue to stay in Aspen, summer recreational activities was the top driver, followed closely by winter recreational activities and or the natural features of Aspen. Half also reported that a job or career opportunity has kept them in the area. But how do residents describe their quality of life? Now, to explore this, we presented residents with a list of statements, and we asked them to share how much they agree with each. And this chart shows the top 2-box agreement level. So agreement was strongest amongst residents that they can always find something to do when they have free time in the Aspen area, that they are happy to live in the Aspen area, and they live in the best part of Colorado, and or they're proud to live in the Aspen area. In contrast, agreement was lowest with the statement, I generally agree with Colorado's political leaders and that Aspen is culturally diverse and that their favorite place to vacation is within the state of Colorado. As for agreement with the number of statements about Aspen specifically, a solid majority of residents agreed that Aspen has easy access to outdoors and green spaces, is safe, has easy access to public transportation, and are plentiful sidewalks, bike lanes, and foot trails. Aspen ranked lowest in agreement that cost of living is affordable here and or has a variety of housing stock available for all income levels. We then posed 2 questions about quality of life in Aspen. The first asking residents to compare their current quality of life to 1 year prior. We found that 39% said that had improved for them in the past year. Meanwhile, 33% said their quality of life has not changed, and unfortunately, about 28% said it had worsened. When asked how they expect their personal quality of life to change 1 year from now, so future looking, respondents expect a similar trajectory. 39% say they anticipate this will improve, 38% say it will remain unchanged, and about 24% say they expect their quality of life to worsen in the next year. How do residents feel about the travel industry right now? Well, a majority, that's 57%, say that Aspen's tourism results in a better personal quality of life for residents. Meanwhile, 21% disagrees with this sentiment and 22% are neutral. And there's certainly opportunity to further educate that neutral disagree camp so that the positive effects of tourism are more widely understood. That said, 61% said they have a net positive perception of Aspen's tourism industry, with only 13% saying their perceptions of tourism in Aspen are negative. We then explored understanding the economic benefits of tourism through a series of agreement statements, which you see here on screen. The highest levels of agreement are that tourism is very important to Aspen's economy as well as to the state's economy. And a majority also agree that tourism is an important part of Colorado's future and that tourists are important to the success of residents' businesses and/or place of employment. However, respondents were less likely to agree with the personal economic benefits of tourism, only 42% agreeing that tourism reduces their tax burden, and just 37% agreeing that tourism decreases the cost of living for residents. As for perceptions of the industry's impact on jobs, 2/3 agreed that Aspen has ample job opportunities in the tourism industry, followed by over 6 in 10 who agreed that it is easy to get a job in the tourism industry year-round in Colorado and/or in Aspen. However, far fewer agreed that jobs in Colorado's tourism industry typically pay well, and that's something that we also saw in our national workforce sentiment research that we conducted in partnership with U.S. Travel back in 2021. When considering the impact of tourism on Aspen's community, residents see both the benefits and the negative impacts. In fact, the largest share of residents agree that tourism helps support festivals, arts, and cultural experiences, as well as sporting events. But there's also a high level of agreement that tourism brings crowds and congestion to the area. Similarly, a majority also agree that tourism has led to higher housing prices in the Aspen area, but many also agree that tourism helps create new dining, entertainment, and shopping amenities in the destination that residents also get to enjoy. And in terms of personal impact, over half of respondents agree that they dislike traffic that tourists bring to the area. I don't know that I've met someone who likes that, but in addition, they agree that they themselves often visit local tourism businesses. Nearly half agreed that they like having tourists in their area, and 45% agreed that they dislike the crowds that tourists bring. Only about 1/3 agreed that tourists negatively impact their day-to-day life, and these respondents were more likely to be past employees of the tourism industry. We also asked about awareness of ACRA's initiatives, and we found that over half of respondents, 57%, were aware of ACRA's destination management plan. When asked how their attitude towards visitation has changed since the release of this plan, nearly half of respondents, 46%, said their attitude had improved. And then nearly 2/3 of respondents were aware of ACRA's effort to encourage responsible tourism through the Aspen Pledge and the How to Aspen content. And to close out this presentation, let's see how residents feel about employment in the Aspen area. So for context, we found that 1/3 of respondents reported that they own a business that serves Colorado's tourism industry. And then among respondents who do not own a tourism business, 50% said they are currently employed by a business that serves Colorado's tourism industry. And of respondents that are currently employed by a tourism-related business, 73% were employed full-time, 16% were part-time employees, and 11% said they are seasonal workers. When asked about their overall satisfaction with working in Colorado's tourism industry, 53% of business owners and current employees and past employees said they are satisfied, the mean score being 7.3 out of 10, which will serve as our benchmark to compare future research results against. And of respondents who are not tourism-related business owners or employees, found that 54% of this group reported that they would consider working in Colorado's tourism industry in the future. So there's definitely a potential to recruit more residents to work in the industry. The question now is, of course, how to best reach this segment to present them with job opportunities to consider, which I'm sorry to say this research wasn't designed to do. However, this is certainly a topic that we can address in future iterations of this study. And that is all the data I'm throwing at you today. So any questions about the resident sentiment piece? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. It is. Yeah, all of the research is available in the data center on aspenchamber.org, and it's alluded to in this wrap-up video, but as you can see, it's very comprehensive, and also, if you can believe, there are more slides that were not included in this presentation. So there are some really interesting nuggets of information that we will be utilizing to inform some upcoming campaigns. For an example, I know Miha referred a lot to the visiting family and relatives visitor segment, and it turns out that that visitor segment actually is the least aware of some of our responsible tourism initiatives. So there's an opportunity there to provide tools and resources to our residents who are welcoming their friends and relatives into their homes. So thank you for all of that data. And now we will go over to the 2023 highlight video. "2023 was all about executing on the work outlined by our two guiding documents, the Aspen Chamber Resort Association Strategic Plan and the Aspen Destination Management Plan. 2023 is year 4 of ACRA's 5-year strategic plan, which includes the directive to develop a destination management plan, which we released in 2022. The ADMP synthesized the challenges Aspen is facing and established the 3 pillars of address visitor pressure, enhance the Aspen experience, and preserve small-town character. The plan was designed to enhance the resiliency of the community while protecting quality of life for our residents and preserving the very reason people enjoy coming here. The plan belongs to the community, and ACRA is working as a lead, partner, or advocate to bring the suggestions to life alongside many other community organizations. 2023 is the second year of the 5-year destination management plan. ACRA's destination marketing team is made up of marketing and group sales, special events, and visitor services, all of which are supported by our public relations efforts. The winter of 2022 to 2023 continued to see strong average daily rates, up 17.4% season over season, while occupancy at 62.3% was just about flat to the previous season. When we look at the summer season, which is considered May through October, occupancy was 57.8%, down 4.3% year over year, with ADR for summer season coming in at $618, just slightly down from last year. From January through mid-November, the ACRA Visitor Center Services staff provided guest service interactions that defy ordinary to over 76,000 Aspen visitors at the Aspen Airport, Wheeler Opera House, the Pavilion, and our main office at 590 North Mill Street. ACRA, Aspen Skiing Company, Snowmass Tourism, and of course our community lodging partners continue to provide Destimetrics occupancy and forecasting reports as resources to the community. One strategy to address visitor pressure is to enhance visitor education. All of our campaigns aim to build awareness of seasonal activities, provide how-to guides on safety and etiquette, and educate travelers on the values our community holds dear, and encourage them to embrace that ethos while they are in the destination. We run year-long content campaigns with our partner agency, 26 Digital. We continue to run Defy Ordinary campaigns with our agency BVK. Those campaigns are designed to drive visitation in the summer and winter seasons by highlighting Aspen's values to our top feeder markets. During peak summer season, our messaging was focused on targeting visitors and residents already in Aspen and the Roaring Fork Valley with sustainability messaging. In addition to the digital messaging, we did an Aspen system-wide takeover for the WeCycle community panels for the entire WeCycle season, emphasizing lines from the Aspen Pledge to encourage respectful and responsible visitation. ACRA continues to utilize funds generated from those staying in overnight accommodations to regenerate our public lands, donating $18.80 per pledge signed to either the Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers or Independence Pass Foundation. Social media is an important outlet to distribute educational content and inspire responsible travel. Working with local videographers, we rolled out short-form videos or reels on both Instagram and TikTok to deliver educational messaging. These educational videos are also cross-promoted on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We worked to elevate our influencer strategy by being more selective with our collaborations, focusing on those with industry partners like the Colorado Tourism Office and creating meaningful connections to the mountains through diverse audiences. Another strategy to address visitor pressure is to engage in 360-degree feedback with residents and industry. This past year, ACRA dove deep on research. We completed year-long studies of resident sentiment and visitor profile research, both conducted over 2 waves, alongside a tourism economic impact study. We also conducted business stakeholder research with monthly surveys for 6 months. We will utilize this data as baseline metrics as well as guiding future decisions. All data is accessible on aspenchamber.org in the data center. ACRA addresses traffic and congestion issues at one of our most valued assets, the Maroon Bells, through the Maroon Bells Transportation Group made up of ACRA, Roaring Fork Transportation Authority, U.S. Forest Service, Aspen Skiing Company, Pitkin County, City of Aspen, and H2O Ventures. If you've been disgruntled by the reservation system, we really do encourage you to visit the Bells and recognize how managing visitation has actually improved the experience for users at the Bells. We were pleased to continue our grassroots efforts to preserve and regenerate the natural environment by sponsoring 2 Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteer community projects, as well as the 4th annual Fall Trash Crush with pristine riders. We also continue to support Aspen Cycling Club and Roaring Fork Mountain Bike Association through education and trail stewardship efforts. Aspen Groups offers a carbon offset booking initiative through the Good Traveler when a qualifying program is sourced through the Aspen Chamber Resort Association. The offset funds will be directed back locally to the nonprofit Wilderness Workshop, who is working to fight climate change. In addition, Aspen Chamber pays to offset all employee work travel throughout the year. This is one step towards accelerating the reduction of tourism's carbon footprint. We have also taken the lead on the enormous undertaking to have Aspen recognized by the Global Sustainable Tourism Council. The GSTC criteria provides the framework to create destination policies and practices for a more sustainable future. The City of Aspen's Sustainability Department has been a huge partner on this effort, and we look forward to working together to develop a sustainable business program in the coming months. One way ACRA aims to improve the visitor and resident experience is by supporting legacy events. This year, we were proud to support Aspen Gay Ski Week, X Games, World Cup, the ACES Living with Wolves Reintroduction Educational Event, Aspen Music Festival and School's Community Pride Event, and Risotto by Latinx House. ACRA continues to produce 2 locally serving and destination-worthy events. Winter Skull warmed hearts with the return of the beloved Soup Skull and an ACRA-sponsored pancake breakfast during the Buttermilk Uphill. Where would you rather be? The Food and Wine Classic in Aspen celebrated 40 years of culinary excellence and bringing people together in this premier event. Continuing with our premier culinary efforts,
the Colorado Tourism Office spearheaded a partnership to bring the Michelin Guide to the state of Colorado. We were proud to be a destination included in the guide to elevate the recognition of Aspen and Snowmass Village's culinary efforts to the international stage. Bosque Aspen was awarded a Michelin star, and Element 47, Mawa's Kitchen, and Prospect were all added to Michelin's recommended restaurants. In order to enhance the Aspen trip planning experience, we launched Trip Tuner, a planning and inspiration tool added to ACRA's channels in order to help visitors personalize their Aspen experience and deliver a vacation that defies ordinary. As a member of the Fly Aspen Snowmass Airport Committee, ACRA continues to work with community partners to ensure excellence in air service throughout the year. Highlights include additional and extended service from Austin, Texas on American Airlines, and year-round service from Atlanta and Los Angeles on Delta. ACRA recognized the hard work of all airport employees working throughout the busy winter season, which of course always includes travel disruptions and staffing shortages, by providing break room snacks and 2 pizza lunches. Another strategy to enhance the Aspen experience is to diversify visitor markets. 2023 was year 2 of our partnership with the Colorado Historic Opera Houses Loop, connecting those visitors who are interested in arts, culture, and history with Colorado's heritage in a variety of locations throughout the state. We collaborated with the group on hosting a Colorado arts and culture influencer to help promote the circuit to travelers. We revisited our international efforts for the first time since the pandemic, hosting media from the UK, Australia, and Mexico, exposing Aspen to those travelers who stay a bit longer and experience the destination in a different manner. We were pleased to host a retreat for Edge Outdoors, a Black woman-led nonprofit organization with the goal of cultivating inclusivity for women of color in mountain spaces. ACRA's intent is to lead the change in diversifying mountain towns by taking a step forward to welcome groups to our community that otherwise would not have the opportunity to experience it. We thank the many organizations throughout the community that helped bring this retreat to life. Enhancing the Aspen experience also requires us to redefine visitor economy opportunities, and one way we were able to do so this year was with the Roaring Fork and Farm Map, presenting visitors with a guide to agritourism opportunities throughout the valley. This project was a collaborative effort between chambers and destination organizations throughout the valley. The Aspen Group's Wedding Fam returned this year for the first time since August 2019. We were thrilled to welcome 12 wedding and event planners from all over the country to experience and learn about Aspen in person. Over 20 local hotel partners, venues, and vendors were highlighted during the 3 days of tours and activities. ACRA's public relations efforts amplify the work we are doing to address 3 pillars of the Aspen Destination Management Plan, as well as assist partners throughout the community in achieving their media-related goals. While preserving small-town character is a longer-term goal, we took steps to pursue these strategies outlined in the pillar in 2023. ACRA sponsored the screening of High Country and attended the community roundtable discussions led by Paul Anderson. In addition, we were pleased to sponsor Habitat for Humanity's Community Housing Summit event as an advocate for housing crisis solutions. We were also a sponsor of Aspen Public Radio's Lawn Bash, a celebration of community. Another strategy towards preserving small-town character is to develop a resident ambassador program. In partnership with the Colorado Tourism Office, ACRA launched the Aspen Learning Lab, an educational platform that can be used by partners looking to onboard new employees and eventually will assist ACRA in setting up an ambassador program for the community. In an effort to bring all of this work to life and to highlight some of the successes that the Aspen community has seen that help lift up the pillars of the Aspen Destination Management Plan, ACRA sponsored the Aspen season of Destination Thanks Travel Beyond podcast. The podcast highlights several community members speaking about sustainability, travel, the Destination Management Plan, and how Aspen is striving to make lasting positive change happen. In addition to our work in the ADMP pillars, ACRA staff pursued professional development opportunities throughout the year, with Eliza Voss achieving her Certified Destination Management Executive recognition from Destinations International, the tourism industry's highest individual educational achievement. Eliza joins Debbie Braun in this achievement. Debbie has held her CDME since 2015. Nicole Hellinger received her Professional in Destination Management certificate, a program that provides those new to the destination organization side of the industry the fundamentals of destination marketing, management, and sales, with cutting-edge education and the knowledge to further their careers in the travel and tourism industry. Both Jessica Height and Debbie Braun participated in Colorado Tourism Office's Leadership Journey, a year-long program designed to activate the full potential of Colorado's tourism industry through its people. Jessica graduated with the class of 2023. As part of this program, Jessica designed and executed an educational panel for Aspen High School students on the value of tourism within the community, fostering dialogue and interest in this as a potential career path for those students and engaging tourism conversations with the younger community members. Debbie Braun served as a mentor with the program and will continue to do so for 2024. As an organization, ACRA was recertified through Destinations International, a process required every 4 years following initial recognition, as a destination marketing accreditation program. This serves as a visible industry distinction that defines quality and performance standards in destination marketing and management. For the second year in a row, Aspen was recognized by Green Destinations as a Top 100 Green Destination, a program that celebrates and promotes 100 destinations as inspiring examples for other destinations, tour operators, and visitors. This award also allows Aspen to maintain its position on the Good Travel Guide, increasing visibility and reaching travelers interested in sustainable locations. While creating an environment for Aspen to thrive is ACRA's vision, it's really a collaborative effort across the community. Aspen Chamber values our partners and strives to bring the balance between residents and visitors to life through the work of the Aspen Destination Management Plan. We are devoted to this work, and the future of our community depends on our ability to evolve, as change is constant. Aspen has a passionate and engaged community, and there will always be disagreements on how to do Aspen right. But ultimately, we are all working towards preserving the same thing. This little place called Aspen, a town we all love, and that defies ordinary.
I think I've promised Morgan Freeman as the narrator in years past, but he was not available. I am happy to take any questions about the work that the team accomplished in 2023. If there are no questions, we can look at 2024's proposed budget. As it compares to 2023. I'll just run through the tax revenue projections as allocated by the City of Aspen Finance Department are coming in around 4.5 for 2024. The group participation fee is up just slightly, and that is a result of the Molly Gibson Aspen reopening and participating in the program. The event management fee is the fee that we will be taking in to execute the Food and Wine Classic in Aspen, and that's the contracted amount. And then the co-op funds is up slightly as a reflection of the Michelin marketing program co-op that we will go into for 2024. And then from an expense standpoint, I think Debbie alluded to this during the budget approval process, but we are now a fully staffed team. And again, destination marketing is responsible for marketing, group sales, visitor services, and special events. So all of those teams are now fully staffed, and those payroll and rent expenses are reflective in that line item. Marketing and event services is up slightly, mostly to reflect that we have budgeted for 2 winter schools, should that be approved. Partnerships is up slightly, and that again is reflective of the marketing program for the Michelin Co-op, as well as a hopeful partnership with U.S. Forest Service in a new location for visitor services, and that's a partnership with the city of Aspen. And then research, it remains flat, but we have agreed that to avoid survey fatigue, we would likely not do 2 waves next year with future partners, and we would be able to allocate some of those funds that were used for a second wave into some programs like a credit card spend and a research aggregate platform. We do have a couple new initiatives to talk about. One is we were awarded a grant by the CTO, that's the Colorado Tourism Office, to do a diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility audit of all Aspen and Snowmass Village businesses, which is really exciting. So they've provided 100 hours of technical assistance to do that audit, and then we can elevate and also provide guidelines to businesses to increase or celebrate those wins in those categories. We are working with the City of Aspen to create a sustainable business certification program, and new for the Winter Skull Luncheon upcoming would be the Sustainability Award in addition to the Business of the Year and Nonprofit of the Year award. So make sure to get your applications in for that. We are working with Mountain Ideal for the GSTC recognition. The audit is happening next week, so we are meeting likely with many of employees in your organizations with the third-party auditor. So that will take place next week, but we likely wouldn't receive the recognition until probably February. Utilizing some of the findings from the research that we displayed today, we will be working on a value of tourism and community building campaign, which would be locally facing. I spoke a little bit about the new research platforms when talking about the research line item, looking at credit card spend and as well as a research aggregator platform. As you likely know, we have gone to RFP. We appreciate all of the hard work Promo Communications has done on ACRA's behalf for the last 20 years. Really incredible work they have done. But we will be onboarding a new public relations agency in January. Working on the Winter School date change, pending community approval of that. We are hopeful to have a new guest services location in the Armory this spring, fall. Very flexible, depending on where council would like to see us. And then likely replacing the outdated pavilion structure across from Paradise Bakery. And we are hopeful to make that a 21st century visitor center experience, which may have wheels and allow us to take that show on the road. But more to come on that. So those are some high-level initiatives. And Morgan Freeman would be happy to report on the success of those next fall. Well, that is... Get them out on like half an hour ahead of time. Yeah. Well, I just want to also make a huge acknowledgement to the rest of the staff. It's not just Debbie and I as the talking heads up here, the entire organization, supported by our volunteer committees, as well as our agencies, Promo Communications, BVK, and 26 Digital are all behind the scenes making the magic happen. So big round of applause to everybody for their hard work. And that's all for now. Go ski. Oh, sorry, one more video. I got so excited. As I send you out, there's one more video that's quick.
This is Colorado. You're one of the 6 million people who are lucky enough to call it home. You know that Colorado looks like this, and this, and this. And that this is a 14er, and this is a rock pile, and this is what Coloradoans mean when they say rhino. Not this rhino. Easy, boy. You know all the references to NOCO, FOCO, LODO, Gunny, the boat, and the Four Corners. And we've got all the springs you can handle. But did you know that tourism is one of the largest industries in the state? It contributes around $750 of tax benefits to each household every year. That pays for 2 ski passes, 20 concert tickets, or 375 fat tires. You know, the things that matter. And did you know that for every $1 marketing dollar spent, Colorado sees a return of $151 in visitor spending? But not only that, tourism indirectly benefits tens of thousands of people. This is Frank, and he depends on tourism. This is Martina, and so does she. It may not seem like Javier, Cece, and Arlo depend on tourism, but they do. All these hardworking people do. And these artistic ones. And these adventurous ones. They all benefit when visitors come to Colorado. Because people don't just come here to ski for the first time. Their spending brings billions of dollars to the world-class amenities and experiences that benefit visitors and residents alike. They arrive by any of our 14 airports. They use our public transportation, museums, attractions, parks, concert venues, and restaurants. It's what gives locals like you so many options for your rainbow trout, smothered burritos, or Rocky Mountain oysters, if that's your kind of thing. So just remember, the next time you go here, or to any of the amazing places Colorado has to offer, it's all made possible, in part, by tourism. And the end result is that euphoric feeling you get from calling such a beautiful place home.